again, all you wonderful positive thinkers out there. Mr. Positive here again. We got some great news for you today. One of our World Positive Thinker Club members, Candy G, just received a fabulous award for Media Person. And you want to go to Facebook and you'll see exactly what is written about her. Also, I'm going to give you a couple of pieces of information at the beginning of this video versus where I used to give it at the end. And last time we talked, I talked about the chime balls, okay, how you twirl these. And when you look at the bottom of your wrist, you'll see when you twirl these that your blood vessels are moving, okay? And these help you stay calm in stressful situations. And also helps keep your blood moving around. The other thing we talked about was taking a pencil, putting it in your mouth and between your teeth, but not biting down, and that helps relieve stress. The other thing is, I mentioned to you a powder that you put in the bathtub, especially for you ladies, and get a nice bath with this bathing powder. The other thing I talked to you about was the lemon balm leaves, which have a very calming effect. You take two teaspoons, put them in a cup that you can close, that's a heating type of cup, boil water, then pour the water on those leaves. Then for 13 minutes you let them seep. Then you take that potion and you pour it in your coffee cup or whatever, through a strainer, of course, so that you don't get the leaves in your drink, and then you drink it down slowly. Okay? The other two things that I want to talk to you about, Candy G on her Tuesday show, this Tuesday, had a really neat guy on her show, Alan Klein. Alan Klein is also known as Mr. Jollytologist, and he's a best-selling author. And he talks about using humor to avoid or overcome stress. So you might want to go into the archives of Candy G's radio shows and listen to Alan Klein. He's a really neat guy. The other thing I want to talk about, Oprah Magazine has some good people every once in a while. And she had a neat lady by the name of Martha Beck who talks about not chewing off more than you can swallow. In other words, don't try to swallow the Nile. Don't try to do too many things at one time. Take them one at a time. Okay, so there's some more tips for you. Well, we'll have tips for you all the time on these shows. Okay, last time we met, I was talking about Dr. Norman Vincent Peale back in the late 60s. Ran into an intellectual, at least this man told him he was an intellectual. And Dr. Peale had a very sprightly conversation with this gentleman, and he said, as I finished last time, he said, I'll give you a definition of a positive thinker if you'd like to have it. Although he showed no disposition to want it, I gave it to him anyhow. I said, a positive thinker is one who is tough and rugged mentally. He sees every difficulty, and he sees it straight, nor is he abashed by it, because he knows that by the help of Almighty God, he has what it takes to overcome all manner of difficulty. Well, that rather got him, so he took a new tack with me. So he said, but don't you know the world is full of problems? I said, you don't say so. I said, son, in my line of business, we know more about problems in 5 minutes than you escapists would know in 5 months. Well, of course the world is full of problems. And then I thought of a comeback, and I've been proud of myself ever since, you might say, because most of my comebacks come back about 5 hours after I need them. I said, of course the world is full of problems. But thanks be to God, it's also full of the overcoming of problems. Well, this really got him, and he went down the block shaking his head, and I could hear it rattle all the way down the street. Well, of course the world is full of problems. You're going to have to deal with problems until the day you die, and we've always had problems. Always had them, have them now, and as far as anybody can see, peering into the long future, you're going to have problems until the day you die. And despite what I said earlier about Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx, some of us might have problems after we die, for all I know. The important thing is that you have to think positive. You have to make sure that you as a positive thinker, and if you're not a positive thinker, you better start being one. If you're not a positive thinker, and you can admit that, it usually takes 21 days to get in the groove to then be a permanent positive thinker. Sometimes you'll fall out of that groove. I've done it. We all do it. But you know what? I only give myself 1 minute to fall out of that groove. And after that 1 minute, I say, okay, that's it for you, negative thought. You're out of here. You've had your chance, but you weren't strong enough. So get out of my life. And you go on. Another negative thought will pop up. So what? They pop up. So you overcome them. You don't stay negative. And so, based on the fact that you are now a positive thinker, you'd be surprised how much more fun life is. You know, if you want to talk about negative circumstances, I'd like to tell you about a really neat lady. She endorses the front cover of my book. Her name is Shirley Chang, and on Facebook, we just made a post that Shirley Chang has now earned her doctorate. You know what's so amazing about this is that a lot of people sit around feeling sorry for themselves, but they're not blind like her. They're not disabled like her. She sits in a wheelchair and doesn't have the use of her hands, so she has a computer that is voice recognition. And this young lady at age 28, who is blind and disabled and in a wheelchair and needs help to get into bed and get dressed, this fantastic lady now has her doctorate. She's a poet. She's an author of 5 books. She's contributed to many books. She's involved in children's care. What a neat lady. And she's known as the modern-day Helen Keller. And I'm here to tell you that I'm proud to have her endorsing the front cover of my book, because Shirley told me that she never reads motivational books. She's written them herself. So why should she endorse or read motivational books? So I'm really happy that she has endorsed my book. And you know what? You should look into my book, because my book is a fantastic book. I don't mean to brag, but I'm here to tell you, I put 10 years of hard work in that book, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun stories. There's dozens and dozens of stories about how people overcame all manner of difficulty, just like Shirley Chang. I can name some, like Lance Armstrong, like Shirley Chang, like Candy G. There's a lot of people out there. A lot of ball players, a lot of athletes, a lot of actors, a lot of business people, a lot of Congress people like Everett Dirksen, the famous Senator Everett Dirksen, who almost went blind and prayed his way out of his difficulty, became one of the most respected senators in the history of the Congress. There's a lot of stories in this book. There's Hank Aaron in the book, Muhammad Ali, Tom Dempsey, who had a club foot and kicked the longest field goal in the history of the NFL. There are dozens and dozens of stories. Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. There are tons and tons of stories. You name a genre, and I write about it. I write about it in many different countries: Australia, Japan, Germany, China, Poland, Hungary, Switzerland. There are stories from all over the world in my book. There was 10 years of research, so you might want to look into it. Next time we meet, I'm going to talk to you about how Dr. Peel overcame some of his obstacles that he had to face. And one of them was when he started Guidepost, which is a fantastic magazine, which I've subscribed to for years. And I'll tell you how the story of Guidepost got started. But meanwhile, that's the end of our session today. I want to thank again Diane Hanks for always helping out and doing these videos. And she's the one that does the special effects. And eventually she'll have her computer running right where she can jump in and say a few things herself. So, again, thanks for your time. And it's always great visiting with you. And don't forget, think positive. That's an order.